how's it going? This is my vlog. It's 12:31, November 5th, Tuesday. I still have a fever and aches and pains and a headache with the flu. Last night at like 8 or something, when it was dark, I drove into the supermarket, and I saw on the door of the supermarket free flu shots. Most insurance, and I was like, well, god damn it. I realized it's flu season, and every single time I see those free flu shots, I'm like, all right, whatever, that's not for me because I don't get sick. Next year and from here on out, every year I'm getting that flu shot because I haven't had the flu. The last time I remember having the flu was in like 2004 or something, 2005. It was like 20 years ago in Chile. I got really sick for like days, for like 5 days or something. I was just in bed with a flu. Yeah, so now I'm, I guess my diet, I think it was my diet, lack of exercise. And it sucks because when I'm in bed with the flu, it gives me asthma. So then I start thinking, oh God, I'm going to die of an asthma attack one day when I get sick. If I don't quit smoking weed, even if I don't quit, or even if I do quit. So, I don't know. Definitely not going to smoke any more weed. I have a plant growing in there, but we're going to make weed butter out of it. But, yeah, yesterday I was, when the ibuprofen ran out, I had ibuprofen at 6 in the morning, and then at like 1, and then like in the afternoon, and my stomach actually kind of hurts. Hope it's not from the ibuprofen. And then I had it this morning. Yeah, when the ibuprofen runs out, I start sweating. Or maybe I start sweating after I take it. But yeah, I was sweating yesterday, big time. The first night before last, man, I sweat so much that my pillow was sopping wet. Like I was thinking, like, did I pour like water all over this? Like it was completely, totally sopping wet. And, yeah, but yeah, I was pretty much sweating all day. Like, if I wasn't sweating up here anymore, there was at least, like, all this sweat on the side. And I'm not sweating now. So, I'm just trying to kill time. I'm not going to stretch today because I feel like stretching is exercise. Ugh, like my body. Because when I was stretching before, I was stretching for like 2 weeks. Just straight, doing nothing but stretching last month. And why do those birds do that? Did you see that? The bird got like a foot above my head. I need to be quicker and film them fly if they do it again. But anyway, yeah, every time I stretch before, I would get like exhausted. So, yeah, I don't want to do anything that would tax my body and I stretch. Like, maybe all the stretching got me sick. I don't know. So, I'm just going to hang out here and I think I'm going to lay back in bed, actually. I'm here in the living room, but I think I'm going to have some food, force feed myself. My mom came over and brought me, like, bananas and an apple that I just had, and half of a cherry pie, and like some kind of bread that already has like garlic bread. I'm gonna put that in the toaster, and yeah, something else. And last night I got a bunch of soups. Go have a clam chowder, and then I'll lie back in bed and just watch movies if I can. Last night I was watching a bunch of YouTube. I found out about oh man, some town that lost all of its buildings. Everybody moved out, and then all the crime came in. Some guy came in to try to fix it, but it turned out the town council wasn't giving him permits because it's managed poorly. And And then I saw a video about, yeah, just learning lots of little things about the world going on with YouTube. And but I can't remember, man. My brain is shot. Probably just smoked too much weed, but I'm sick too. Oh, yeah. And then I wanted to watch a movie, but I don't have the the ability, like the concentration ability, the train of thought to watch it. So, I've got a bird like obsessing over one of my, what is that? One of my like figurines. I don't even know what the hell that is. He's like pecking at it. Those are where my other birds are. Anyway, so, oh yeah, and watching weightlifting. Yeah. People, just the whole like culture of it. People trashing each other. I'm pretty sure that, like, we need to like artificially, kind of like, you know how you have republic versus democracy, and when you let something go democracy, like say the market, you let the market do what the market wants to do, then it gets controlled by democracy. And I think human nature is just because it's easier. It takes less effort, less brain power. Human nature is more inclined to focus on like negative stuff than positive stuff. And so if you let it go purely democratical, like with the algorithm, like with and the hits with YouTube, I think it's gonna go dark and people get mean and nasty, and like we actually regress in our social development. And we have to I think we should treat like media and social media, and how we all choose what we're going to watch. We need to insert like a third party like rule set. We have to, and it's difficult when because you can't make rules like laws, because then it just gets overbearing. But I just mean like decency and positivity. Like there should be a way for people. I mean, YouTube could do it forcibly with their algorithm. But if you don't believe in the algorithm, which I don't really believe that that's what causes people to become stars. I think people become stars on YouTube because people just like it, like what they have. But like there should be like a bunch of videos of people explaining why we should be cooler to each other. Like Joey Swole, he calls out negative people on internet. Because like I came to a realization last night as I'm watching all this stuff that people make these drama videos to make money. They do it to make money. So they get really like negative, evil, and mean and nasty. To make money, and then that they think that because they're this goes back to making money is the only thing that matters, because they're making money that makes them awesome, even though they're assholes and idiots. Because I'm watching all these videos and it's like so Greg Doucette and Mike Israetel, they're these two bodybuilder like social media YouTube guys who talk about training. And then I guess one of them Mike Israetel decided he didn't like Greg Doucette for whatever reason. And then because he's on steroids and he doesn't think clearly. So then Greg Doucette makes a response video, and then they talk about something. And then they make a bunch of videos trashing each other, and it's like way more than they should. Like now Greg Doucette is making like 10 videos trashing Mike Israetel, and if you watch the video, like it's all like it's like they're not even being bodybuilders anymore. Now they're trying to be psychiatrists and psychologists, and just bringing up crap that's just a waste of time to talk about and a waste of time to think about. But people like watching it because it's easy. You know, it's like mental masturbation. It's like junk food. It's comfort food, comfort talking, to hear somebody trash somebody. And you know, that's the kind of thing that I watch when I'm like brain dead and I can't learn anything, which I was last night with the fever. So, like, the most popular videos are the ones that are designed for people who are got 104 fever or like a sub 85 IQ. Like, there's that guy Wes Watson. You know, and if he sees this video, he might like email me, motherfucker, I'll beat your ass, motherfucker. He's just like tattoo muscle guy who was in jail for 10 years for assault and robbery, and then gets out and made a bunch of money making like weightlifting tutorials. And so then it turned into like he wanted to be a self-help guy, because they always expand. You know, you start with something and then you run out of things to say, so then you expand and talk about other stuff. So then he wanted to be like a counselor and tell you how you should be, only he's a criminal. So he's like wants everybody to be aggressive and like beat each other up because they make a joke about stuff. Like, Jesus. Yeah, and then I started thinking, with all these people on TRT, like older guys, like if you have money, I guess the thing is, once you hit 40, the thing is to get on TRT, whether you have testosterone problems or not. And then there's all these other guys who are on like full on testosterone and steroids, which is another contributing thing to, you know, cause people to be low IQ and like rage prone and violence prone. And it's like, dang, is this going to get worse before it gets better? Like there's that guy, Eric Van Fleet or whatever, like punched Jeff Nippert in the throat and like knocked him back in a gym just because he said something to him. Like, because the guy attacked Jeff, so Jeff walked up to him to be like, what do you want to talk about? And he just fucking punched him. And I'm thinking, maybe this is just the beginning, dude. Like, maybe there's the new genre in the future is social media fitness influencers like attacking each other in the gym and like at expos and stuff. Like, I've seen bodybuilder expos with people get angry and get in fights and stuff. And usually people don't change collectively until we hit like a really ugly place. And so maybe it'll get like, for the next 5 or 10 years, it'll get so bad, like in 5 or 10 years, that like every single YouTuber over 1 million subscribers will have had a feud with somebody that they make money off of, where they have like a dozen videos trashing somebody, and like most of them have even like attacked each other. Like, I don't know, it seems but that's just the idea that I had last night because I was watching that stuff. But no, there's a lot of new historical videos and stuff. I'm on Facebook, and I am seeing photos of like, I follow all these different historical groups, and there's so many photos of all of these ancient artifacts that I've never seen images of. It's like they were newly discovered, or it's crazy. And yeah, and then they're finding like with LiDAR new cities in the jungle, which is super exciting because I want to know where the cities in the Amazon are, because I read a book a couple times by Francisco de Orellana, who hiked over the Andes from Ecuador and then took a boat all the way down the Amazon in like 1580 and wrote a book about it. And that's why the Amazon's called the Amazon, because he said he got attacked by a bunch of Amazonian women, like huge, tall, muscular, topless, white girls with blonde hair who were like forcing the little Indian men to fight them, or else they'd get killed, and they even managed to kill a couple of the Amazons. But he heard that they lived in some city, and he was talking about a bunch of cities that they had back then in the middle of the jungle, and that still existed. And he was even talking about the sizes of the different countries. They had actual well-organized countries in the middle of the Amazon in those days that were like as big as the countries in Europe, you know, like as big as France, you know, would be the territory or something of one of those tribes. And he mentioned a bunch of them, to the point where I was like, God damn it, I have to YouTube this. I mean, I have to Google Earth this, you know, and then I can make YouTube videos of it. And then you can try to guess where their city was, and then find out where the LiDAR ones that they discovered. And like, maybe that guy wasn't full of shit. Maybe he was about the women, but not about like you know, all of the countries that they had there and the trade that they were doing. He said that dudes would travel all the way across the Amazon, like 2,000 miles, just so they could have sex with the Amazonian girls. It was like the same exact story as the one Amazons from Europe. They lived on the southeast coast of the Black Sea, and they did the same thing. They go there, have sex with the girls, but then they had to leave because it was just a bunch of women or something like that. And it's like, yeah. And then he wanted to go back, and then I guess he went back and died or something. But yeah, you should read that book. It's fascinating. I want to read it again. But yeah, it's interesting to see it all come full circle. How did I come up with that? How did I get on that tangent? Oh yeah, all the different discoveries on Google Earth that they're making. I've got my own discovery with Atlantis. I said I know where Atlantis was because I found it. Because it's, you know, all, like, I think it was like 9 different things that I saw, coincidences. So you throw them all together, it makes them possible. But I managed to do a video. They at the beginning of August, they their mask came off from one of their updates, and this was just by accident. I went there one day in the morning, and I wanted to see if there was pixelization, and I was like, oh my god, pixelization! They fixed it, and I was thinking, what, did they fix it forever? So I immediately did a video, and I uploaded it to my vlog. I should get a chunk of that and put it onto my main channel. And yeah, it's like the beginning of August. Yeah, and I did a tour, and I proved where it was with their resolution. You can see the building and the pyramid next to it, and I showed how it's the same size, exact same size as what Plato said. 100 meters by 200 meters, a cubit by half a cubit, and a stadia by half a stadia. 90 meters by 185 meters, and 92.5 meters by 185 meters. And yeah, and I was like, that's cool. And then I checked it like the day later or whatever, and they had pixelated it again. And so I was asking ChatGPT, I was telling the story of ChatGPT, I was like, who's responsible? I just want to know what ChatGPT thought about who was responsible for it, like where the buck stopped. And ChatGPT said that it was most likely the CIA. And I was like, well, how could that happen? How could I have had resolution for a day and then it go away? And they're like, oh, it was probably an update. And I was like, ah. So I just magically, just through the grace of God, got on Google Earth on the exact day that they did an update. And yeah, and it was only like that day. So I managed to prove it. And yeah, so it's awesome. But yet not a single person has shown any sign of life. So and pertinence to that. So, but I should do another video and I should clip the bit out where I showed it and put it on my main channel. So anyways, yeah, I'm too tired and sick. I mean, I feel better today than yesterday. I feel horrible this morning and all last night. I barely slept and I was a pool of sweat the whole time. And I might feel okay now because I had 4 ibuprofen not that long ago. But I feel a little bit better. I'm probably going to be sick tomorrow too. I'm not going to do any exercise until I get up in the morning and I don't feel any aches and pains or sweats. And then I'll jump back on the saddle. Like, it's crazy. I'm having a rough time getting back in shape because at first I felt like shit, never had energy. Then I couldn't concentrate. Then all I wanted to do was stretch. And then I was like really weak and sick for a while. And then that just turned into getting actually sick. So it's like, God damn it. Can I have a couple of days where I just, can go all day long? So, yeah, I'm waiting for that. But I'm not going to work on my website anymore. Because this normally would be a good time to do it. You get sick, just work, right? But I'm not, I'm still out of shape, right? Like, I haven't changed my habits. I haven't switched around the dendrites in my head to regrow, to get habituated. It takes like 3 months, I think, to exercise. And I don't know. I just feel, it's not going to happen, but I just feel like it's sketchy. Like I could have a relapse on the site. But pretty soon, though, I'm going to, there's so many different things that I could do. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is just a continuation of the last thing. It's because the pages are already built. All I have to do is copy paste it on. It's all of the different condensed versions of all the history books from on my website. I have like hundreds of them. I didn't count the exact number, but it's all of them, every single book from the ancient world up until like Thomas Aquinas. Oh, but then I have a bunch of the new ones too. Most of all the good ones from the philosophers of the 1600s, but everything from the ancient world. And I have the condensed versions of all of them. And I have like 4 condensed versions, or 2 condensed versions of most of them. I have like 6 versions of the Mahabharata. And I can throw all those on. I only put 1 on. I did 1, and then that's when I burnt out. And it was only 1.5 times smaller than the version before it. Because there was a mistake, I think, with the word counter that I had. But, that's the next thing that I'm going to do. I'll do like a book a day, and it shouldn't take that long. Just like maybe a half hour to plug it in and fix up the links and everything. But, yeah, and then of course I could do videos of the Google Earth stuff that I built. But I'm not going to do that today. Yeah, I think I'm going to jump back in bed in my bedroom after I have some food. I'm going to pig out as much as I can because my appetite's not here. And then try to watch movies. I got a membership at something that I don't even remember what it was, and I'll see what that is. If they have any movies, just watch movies. See if I can have the concentration for it. Or just a bunch of YouTube videos. There's a lot of really good quality, like documentary style videos. I hope that these documentary style videos, like, God, I can't remember the name of it. Arkansas. It's this town, and it's like, and then the guy came in to try to revive it, and they didn't give him the permit to do business, and it's like, those types of videos I think are awesome because they can put people on the spot who aren't managing their township properly and cause them to rethink things and fix stuff. Sometimes you have to think a little bit out of the box to turn stuff around, like instead of just think that you're being a good person by following some antiquated rule that doesn't have anything to do with your particular place you live. And they're figuring some things out, like they're selling houses for $450 to try to get people back in houses. There's like no reason whatsoever why entire neighborhoods should go abandoned with all these abandoned houses. The reason that it's like that is because the government isn't making tax liens on people. Just stop taxing people at all. Like, don't tax them at all and sell the house to them for like $100. And then that'll allow people to move in. I mean, people move out because they can't. It's not because they didn't want to. They were forced out. So then get them back in and then get them back on their feet. And then if it turns out they're doing okay, then maybe you can start taxing them again. You can bring these, because those houses that are boarded up like that, like, they're ugly. They drag people down. They give people the idea of apocalypse. And then it makes people sour and evil. And then they start, like, murdering each other. Like, there was a murder a day in this town of like 40,000 people. And their videos, like the councilwoman got mugged by two guys in shotguns, and it's like, my God, dude. And then they can go off and run and hide in one of those like abandoned houses and stash stuff in there. It's like, it's not good. And also the house is already built and the plot, it's already put there. Like, why not just rebuild it? It's cheaper than to build it from scratch because most of it's already there, you know? You could even keep the house, most of it, and have that nice ancient architecture. Then I saw one about how private equity is buying up all the trailer parks and then increasing the price, but then not giving them the service. So there's this trailer park where everybody grew up and it was nice and everything, and then they sold it to a private equity, and then they raised their rent. They doubled everybody's rent, but then stopped maintaining the park. So then the pool became stale, and the clubhouse went out of business, and like everything went like rotted because the private equity was in there like raping people. And the guy who was in charge of it was at a seminar telling people like that's the best way to make money, because buying a trailer park is like buying a Denny's, but all the customers are chained to the seats. It's like, my God, those types of documentaries are what's the best thing about YouTube. Yeah, I think it's the thing that will allow us to turn everything around, you know, and not value people just being greedy and then like ripping people off, and that makes them awesome somehow. So, and then hopefully that'll grow into people valuing people doing stuff and being good instead of just making money ripping people off. Yeah, but if people are still making videos and people are about stuff like that, and people are still doing horrible things, it's like we've got a long way to go. Hopefully it'll fix everything, and in 10 years maybe, you know, people will be running stuff right. Anyways, that's what I'm up to, just watching that kind of stuff. I can't listen to politics, but it is my goal. Maybe I'll try to listen to it a little bit today. Yeah. So it's my goal, and this is kind of like a recent goal, a recent realization I came to, but it's my goal to memorize Plato Politics cover to cover. Like, be able to memorize every single name, every single chapter of every single book. It has 7 books, a total of like 250 chapters or something. Yeah, that would be awesome to memorize that whole book and then prove that I memorize it and close my eyes. And if I get like over 90%, I don't even know if that's possible. But if I get, I came up with that idea right now, but if I get over 90%, like if I get an A, then I get paid. I should get paid $50,000. And then that becomes the goal. You know, and that doesn't have to be zero sum, because, you know, people get motivated for money in competitions, but the problem is in these competitions, only one person can win. Only one person can get the money. But it doesn't have to be zero sum. Everybody can win. because there's plenty of money going around with all the rich people. Just put all those sports car businesses out of business, and all that other stuff they waste their money on, and have them spend their money paying $50,000 to anybody who gets over 90% on Plato Politics. And then there's nobody in your way. Like, it's not like somebody be like, "Oh, I'm going to win this year," but then you get cheated out and somebody else takes the only spot, and then you don't get any prize money. Like, I saw the documentary Mike Menzer. I guess he got second in the 79 Mr. Olympia, and then he was going to win. He thought he was going to win the 80, but they gave it to Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though he didn't need the money. And he was like, "Why didn't you just give it to somebody who didn't have the money, who was better?" I saw those physiques. I didn't think Mike Menzer was that big or that good. That Arnold Schwarzenegger was better than him, even in 80, but that kind of a thing. Like, he never would have had anything to complain about if it wasn't set up like that. Because nobody's in your way. You're not in anybody else's way. We're all helping each other. The goal is to get that 90%. You know, like with a triathlon, you do a triathlon. Instead of people going, "What place did you get?" It's like, "What was your time?" You know, like I did high school cross country one year when I was a senior. At the very end, I want to get back into running because I could have done a lot better because I had mono and hadn't run one time in 6 years, but I did it. And like my PR was 17:07, and it's like, well, God damn it, I could have run way faster than that. So it's like, and then when you're an adult and you're telling people, you know, who used to be a cross-country runner, they don't give a fucking shit what place you got in districts or whatever. They just want to know what your time is. And it's like, so when I was in high school, the idiot coach that I had, and I don't know why I didn't come up with this idea. I should have done it myself. But I just didn't think. The idiot coach, he's all giving us the motivation speech for the races. At the end of the season, what we should have done, we should have had a team-wide race, 5K race around the track, so that we could all get our PR. We all would have gotten a PR, because every freaking race we did was up and down hills on soggy grass, through like the race I did the 17:07 on. It was in a park in Denver, up and down these hills, zigzagging through like those giant cattails, trying to jump over the roots to avoid tripping on them and back onto the soggy. It's like, God damn it, I probably lost at least 30 seconds on that or more. And then by the end of the season, like if I had have had a good race, you know, like we should have had a bunch of opportunities. Like there's the race season, but then there's the actual PR. Like I could have broken 16. I don't know. So, and if I couldn't have, maybe I would have been motivated. That got me into the idea of trying to do it on the track. So, but that's because people didn't think like that. They only thought about the zero-sum thing, like what place. So it was ridiculous. So my idea of you just pay somebody $50,000 for getting above 90%, that could turn into a craze. You'd be like, "Oh, you're going to go for your 90%? Do you think you can do it? Because so-and-so did it." No, 10 people have done it. Look, if 10 people get paid $50,000 to memorize 90% of Plato's Politics, that is only $500,000. I saw some meathead dude, some gym dude, wanting to give a tour. I didn't see the video, but he was like, "Look at the tour of my $500,000 gym." So for the price of that, of some meathead's gym, you could get 10 people to memorize Plato Politics. And then of course they memorize it. People watch it. They get inspired. They learn. You learn from different types of people. So maybe you could learn something from politics from somebody who looks like you or talks like you, and then somebody else. And so it's a no-brainer, you know? So I'm here like, yeah, man, I want to do it. My goal, damn, those little birds, they both dived to the ground, crashed into the ground, and then bounced off the ground and flew up to there. I haven't seen that before. It was like a dive. Maybe one was chasing the other one. Anyways, so that's what I'm going to do as soon as I get my brain back. Oh, I also have been thinking maybe I've kind of made myself a little bit brain damaged because I feel like my brain's not working right from all the weed smoking. So, yeah, I'm going to quit. But mainly the lungs. I was laying in bed like, oh my God. I'm a 30-year smoker. I never thought I'd be a 30-year smoker. It's all about family. And I actually started thinking about this last night. I was thinking about family legacy. Family legacy and family history is a powerful thing that I didn't really realize until like I was thinking about it last night. Because like I come from a family of like lazy drug addicts, and I was always an athlete as a kid, and I didn't care about drugs. I didn't smoke weed for the first time till I was 18. And when people would talk about smoking weed or invite you, I'd be like, no way, never in a million years would I put anything in my lungs. And I never would have, I didn't drink. All I wanted to do was train. I thought about, training. You always have to train every day. But then I wasn't allowed to. I had to work every day after school since 8th grade. And I wasn't allowed to race bikes anymore after I was 13 because they said I had a knee disease. And I didn't run anymore after 5th grade, after 7th grade because of that. And then I ran again for the first time in 7th, 10th, 12th grade. But then I wanted to race bikes again, right? After high school. Because I'd done it, even the years where I wasn't doing the road biking, I was at least mountain biking, right? And I was only going to like a race or two a year. But I called myself a racer because I'd get up and I'd ride every day and I'd try to be as good of a mountain biker as I could be. I was really good at like granny gear. That's kind of the training I did. I was a granny gear climber. I caught the junior world champion. I caught and passed the junior world champion, even though I started after him in like the entire expert field when I was 17. But then my cleat fell off. I had the worst luck. But also, I guess I wasn't that good at maintaining my stuff, but that kind of stuff never happened training, ever. I wouldn't go on a training ride and my cleat would fall off. I don't remember a single time that ever happening. It only happened in the races, which was like 1/100th of the riding that I did. So it made no sense. But anyway, yeah, I mean, every single race I think about, something crazy happens mechanically. I did a race in Steamboat, and I got a fucking flat, and then my patch kit didn't work. It's like, and I got a flat on a perfectly flat, like, trail. I just got a flat. Yeah. So anyway, whatever. I could go on forever. I'm going to stop because it'll just turn into a bitch. Because now there's another memory of a fucking pulley falling off. There's another memory in a race. There's another memory of almost going blind because I was winning a race because a fucking piece of ice or glass got embedded in my eyeball. Because it was like the one time I went without glasses. Of course, that happens the one time you go out. Anyways, enough. I'll start. All the memories will start flooding back. So, anyways, God. Yeah, so my father, right? I told my father, who was a drunk until 87, I was like, yeah, I want to race next year. He's like, don't race. And he was trying to make me stop all summer. Like, every time he talked to me, like, he was serious about trying to make me not race because that meant that I would travel to a place in Colorado once a year. And he didn't think there would ever be enough money for that because he needed me to go to college, and that's the only money. There's only money for college, and like all is lost without some bullshit piece of shit fucking college. I've got a bunch of videos to do about that. Fort Lewis. I'm gonna comment on every one of their videos, trashing them. But no, he ordered me. Like the way that he said, he like looked at me in the eyes like, don't race. Like mainly like. If I so dared to ride my bike the next year, I'm out of the house. I'm renting on my own. I'm paying everything. I'm getting a job. It's like, oh God. Oh God. You know, and then, so it's like so then I realized like, and then of course that turned into me becoming a stoner when I was 18, because I wasn't a racer anymore, so I'm a stoner. And then I'm a stoner all through college, and then I stopped writing completely. And then I'm still a stoner, and now I'm a 30-year smoker, completely out of shape, only working on the website the last 20 years. And I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? I used to be an athlete. And I'll tell you how it happened, because I figured it out last night. It is really hard. You have to be stubborn, and you have to, and I'm not that stubborn with people. I'm like super, or at least I probably am stubborn with people now. But I was never really that stubborn with people. Like if somebody was insistent, even if something that I do, I would like appease them. And this is my own fucking father, right? So I let him, I was like, he yelled at me to not race, and I was like, okay. And then to make sure that I wasn't going to race, he signed me up as a campground host for a month up in Wyoming, where I had to sit in a tent in the rain and pick up trash. So just sit there and not do anything, because he said that people would like me. I would get I could put it on your resume. It's all about the resume. But I already got accepted into college. And it's a college you don't need that for. So I think he just wanted me out of the house to try to make sure that I wasn't going to ride my bike anymore. Yeah, so fast forward in the future, I'm like, well, how did I become like that? Oh, family legacy, family legacy. Like if my father was an athlete, he would have encouraged me to be an athlete, obviously. And yeah, and then I recently read some, because I went through the files, very ancient files, and I read some psychiatrist report about me. Because my parents would send me to the psychiatrist all the time. Because I guess, well, they accused me of being emotionally mercurial. But I wasn't. My father was a drunk. And so he would since I was 8 years old, 7 or 8, he would call me up in his bedroom after he got drunk. And because he was taking like NLP classes at the time, and he was Buddhist. And he would decide he had some big problem with me. Maybe because like how I wasn't behaving like contained enough or something, or I don't even remember any of the details, but he called me up into his room, and he would start off like really like diplomatic, like he was being my counselor or something, but he would just be insulting me. And so then I would like very diplomatically answer him and like with logic, and then defend my position of what I thought. And then he would end up like start yelling at me because he was drunk. And then it would always turn into this screaming match where we're screaming at each other and insulting each other. Like that's just how it ended. Like just fuck you, I hate you, you're a fucking asshole, you're an idiot. And we're both saying that to each other, like screaming at each other, over each other. And then I'd be like, fuck you, and I'd go back into my room. And that happened between when I was like 8 and 10, maybe like a couple dozen times or something. And I remember one time my mom came down into my room after I flipped out on him, and he's like, your father's crying. And I was like, oh God. So now he's drunk, and now he's crying drunk, and it's like, what a fucking idiot. But anyways, it's the family legacy. Like, I had respect for him, and then I had respect for his desire for me to not ride my bike anymore, but he never rode his bike. When I first got into bike racing when I was 10, he bought a bike for he and my mom, and he rode it one time, and he almost crashed it on Highway 36 going down the hill, and he blamed it on the bike. So then he bought a mountain bike, but then he never rode the mountain bike because he said like bikes were dangerous. So I mean, at least I got him into the idea of trying to do a bike ride. I think he may have even done a complete Neva route once. I don't know if he did. I think all he did was go down the hill, almost crash, and he came back. But he tried to. He tried to be a biker. And my mom and I, we'd go on a lot of bike rides up in Summit County with my whole family, my mom and dad. Like my mom said, she almost crashed going down from Vale Pass into Vale on a bike path because the bike started. It was one of these cheap like 3 speeds or something. She said the bike started rattling at like 50 miles an hour and she couldn't control it and almost crashed. Dude, that was a sketchy spot too. It was like right on the edge of a mountain with rocks everywhere, like huge boulders. Like she would have been fucked up if she would have crashed. But anyway, I used to ride that all the time. I used to ride from Breckenridge to Vale and back on the bike path. It was like the greatest bike ride ever. I want to do that again. Anyway, yeah, it was 40 miles from Vale to from Breckenridge to Vale. So it was an 80-mile ride. It was like a perfect ride over a bunch of hills for a kid. But anyway, I read this old report of one of these psychiatrists they sent me to. And I remember reading in the report, because they were trying to explain why I was supposedly emotionally mercurial, which I wasn't. I guess because he was a drunk. My father was a drunk his whole life. He quit from when he was a teenager. He drank. And then he said he regretted his whole life from 15 years drinking and just throwing parties. And then he sobered up, but then became a drunk again when he became a Buddhist. And then he was drunk until 87 and then sobered up, and then died in 97. But he was still an angry dude after he quit drinking. Like, he'd get angry and stay angry like that. But apparently his father was an alcoholic, because they read in this thing. His father was an alcoholic his whole life, and his mother was addicted to barbiturates and an alcoholic. And so... And my mother comes from a family of like fat, out of shape, lazy, candy-eating, 300-pound, 400-pound people, but not so much alcoholics. Although my mom does like to drink. But yeah, if I come on my father's side, if I come from a family of barbiturate addicts, alcoholics, and then his son becomes an alcoholic, and then I get fucking forced into not being an athlete when I'm 13 and then again when I'm 17 by my own father. No fucking shit, I turn into a drug addict. The only thing that was going to keep me away from being a drug addict was being allowed to be an athlete. But if you come from the pedigree of the drug addict, alcoholic, you have to be real goddamn careful, dude. And that's where I screwed up. I should have like respected my father for the love he had, but not respected him as a person. That's what I should have done. So yeah, anyway, that's the realization I came to. I was like, God damn it, man. But I mean, this is like worst case scenario. It's like normally people fall in to the bad habits of their parents because from example, right? They see their father do something and then they become like that. Dude, it was worse with me. I was straight up ordered. I was ordered to. It was like the father's like, no more of that. You stop or you're done. Why? Money and shit. Oh my God. So he died of pancreatic cancer because I guess the alcohol just burned a hole in his liver. But anyway, that's the that I remember I had a friend who was a pro bike racer, and he was a semi-pro at 19. He was a pro at 19, but then he was a pro at 18, but then in Europe, but then the team fell through, so he was semi-pro, and then things didn't go right, and he never actually went to the full pro. He was like on the once team, on the backup. But I remember I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I quit. I was like, really? He was like, oh, okay, yeah. And I was like, oh, what do your parents think? He's like, oh, my dad wanted me to keep racing. And I was like, I didn't say anything, but I remember thinking to myself, this dude lives in a completely different world. So you quit, but your dad wanted you to keep doing it. I wanted to keep doing it, but my dad made me quit. Like, that's the difference, dude. That's the difference between... And I remember I was talking to my wife. See, this is why I don't care about all these fitness fucking people. It's just yap. It's all about money, dude. We need to fix the economy. I was talking to my wife, my ex-wife, who lives in Italy. And I was talking to her, and she has kids. And I was like, yeah, one of your kids, your younger kids should get into... Because it's Italy, and there's bike racing. She had a YouTube video where they filmed the Tour d'Italia go by, and I was like, yeah, you should get your kid into, like, athletics, like be a bike racer or something. And she's like, fuck those athletes. Every time anybody who's an athlete, it's only because they're rich. And I was like, huh. And she was talking about Italy. That's how it was in Italy. And I was like, thinking to myself, I was like, well, I know it's the same here, too. It's not a matter of how talented you are. It's a matter of how talented your parents are. It's a matter of how encouraging your parents are to you and how much they help you and how much support you have. And if you talk to people who are successful in anything, especially sports, and you ask them about, their journey, they always gush over their parents. They're like, my parents were the greatest. They drove me there every day and they encouraged me. And it's like, well, of course, that's what's going to happen. You're going to you're going to do it. Nothing's going to get in your way. Nothing's going to stop you. So, and if somebody did it without parents who were like that, it's probably because they died. Like Ned Overend, who is one of the top mountain bikers. He won a race just a few years ago, and I was reading about it, even though he was old, like 60. And I guess his dad died of a heart attack when he was 15. And I was like, oh, that's why. There's this other kid in Boulder who turned into a pro bike racer, who I knew. A couple years older than me. And both of his parents died in a car wreck when he was 15. I was like, of course. Now there's nobody, the way that I think, I was like, of course, there's nobody to tell you not to do it. And my mom to this day tells me to not exercise. She's like, don't do it. That's too much. You're going to overdo it. Overdo your body, because she doesn't understand how it works. She doesn't understand that she thinks you have to walk around the block and then that's enough. That actual training takes hours. So yeah, that's the realization I came to yesterday. But then, of course, I started thinking, I don't think I had that thought last night, but I think that the thought that I always have now is, like, I'm 50, I'm totally out of shape, but there's nothing stopping me at this point from, like, I think I'm smarter and stronger than everybody, maybe because I just, maybe that's not true, but I feel like that because I feel like I haven't been given my fair shake, and I think people who have never given their fair shake in life, proper opportunity, always getting like nobody likes, like in school, like kicked out of school. I got kicked out of school for no reason. They kind of, I think they can get a little bit like inflated egos. Like they're like, oh, well, then nothing can stop me. And that's kind of how I feel. I feel like nothing can stop me. Like if I wanted to, even to this day, even though my body's not catching up, my body doesn't want to do anything. Yeah, I feel like I could be the smartest person on the planet and the most physically fit still. Not after 50, not after 60, but for the next 10 years. And why? Why do I feel like that? Because there's no parents hovering over me to tell me to not do it. And even though I'm $30,000 in debt, I'm like, well, $30,000 from on a home equity on a HELOC loan, and then another thousands of dollars in debt with credit card. As long as I don't spend any money, it's possible I might be able to get away. We're going to see with not getting a roommate, because I can't get a roommate. People won't move in with me anymore. I guess because I turned 50. But I feel like yeah, nothing can stop me now. I could go and become like the most physically fit person ever. Yeah. At least my age group, like people my age who are super fit, who used to be super fit, like when they were 25, they ain't doing it anymore. Because it gets boring after a while. And who knows, maybe their bodies are a little bit beat up too, like more than mine even. Yeah. So I'm super happy and jazzed about my life, but I wish I had have bifurcated how I perceived my father, because and not so much, I don't have regret. It's just a realization I came to that how powerful family legacy is, and it's not just, I'm sure I'm not the only person who got ordered to stop something. It's not just from like genetics or circumstances or examples given to you. Sometimes you're straight up ordered to stop, like you're forced to, out of fear, and it was all out of fear. It was like, and sometimes I think, did that asshole want me to finish college so that he could go and like pat himself on the back that he has a kid in college? So I don't know. That's the realization I came to as I was laying in bed all night last night with a fever. Yeah, I'm really freaking, like I'm the most motivated to get in shape I've ever been in my life, and then I happen to get a fever at the same time. So I guess I'm just supposed to, but I also have a little bit of an edema, which is pretty much gone. I could ride my bike now, and maybe even run, and I could even start squatting again. So I'm definitely not overtraining. So except for possibly with the stretching, but I'm not going to do that today. So anyway, that's my vlog for the day. And then because my father was insulting me all the time, I didn't have anybody to fall back on when I would get trashed over at school by the teachers, man. And then I would start letting teachers talk to me like that because my parents were. There's this piece of shit, and this is why I'm going to comment on every single one of the videos on Fort Lewis College. And if you go to Fort Lewis College, I've already commented on a bunch of their videos, and they don't delete my videos and they don't respond. So I don't know if anybody's even reading that stuff, but yeah, I'm going to just get on there and comment, like lecture them. And then I give them links to my website. And so it's like a promotional thing for my website. But there's this piece of shit named Dorian Yates. And I went to college and I did this one class, integrative learning. It was one class for college. And he was in this dingy basement. And these two fat fucking cunts who were like 60 or 70, they're both dead, long dead by now. Dorian Yates and Lillian Lang. And that Dorian Yates piece of shit retired like the next year. But yeah, they come in, they're like, we're going to tell you what grade you are. They're like, oh, look, we have it figured out. They didn't show me any of the calculus. We did calculations that are secret to us, that are secret, but our brains work. And so we did the calculations, and you're going to get no lower than a B. And I was like, a B? In my head, I'm like, a B? Like, I showed up every goddamn day and did all the homework. What the fuck are you talking about? Why would I get a B? Do you not like my hair or something? Because I did shave my head at one point. Anyway, the grade comes in, I got a C, right? That's what happens every time. I've had so many D's. I've had like 2 A's in my life, and I've had like dozens of D's. For no reason. No fucking reason. That's why we need to do the 90% of Aristotle politics. Because it's black and white. You can't have... So then I was going to choose my major, because this piece of shit, Dorian Yates, was going to be my advisor. So I was like, hey, I'm interested in anything with politics. And she goes, without looking at me, just looking for it, goes, this is a liberal arts school. And like turned away and walked away. And I went to talk to her to choose the major. And I was like, I want to do and she like walked away from me and didn't have the meeting. And so I had to like talk to her like out in the hallway or something because she like was literally refusing to have a meeting with me. Like as she walked away smiling with one of the other kid in my class. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do the mixed major, the multiple major, whatever you call it. Because that's what they said that they give you. Even when the lady came to my high school to try to recruit everybody, she was actually like, yeah, I know Fort Lewis is like not a good school and not prestigious, but you know, a lot of people do a lot more in college than even in high school. So you want to please come? And then they were letting people go in there. I knew a girl who got in there after she dropped out of high school after 7th grade and became homeless and then got into college after never having done a single class. So you don't even have to graduate, get a GED or anything to go to Fort Lewis. But I was like, yeah, I want to do that, right? So I can choose my class. She goes, the kids at this school only want to take the easy classes. So you have to choose a major. And for some reason, I didn't fight her on that. I was like, because I wasn't going to have any support from my parents because they were always yapping at me to smile and you smile. That's what you do. You smile and then they like you. It's all about if they like you or not. So I was like, all right, whatever. And nobody warned me that if you choose a major, there's no classes to take. You ain't going to graduate. So it's like, all right, fuck it, you bitch. If you're not going to cooperate with me and do what the school policy is, and let me mix majors, do like English, history, philosophy or something like that, where I can actually graduate. So then I tried to fill up my schedule, but because I was English, they were like, oh, you can't fill it up, because it's not English. That's not part of the English program. So then I had to do 2 summers to try to catch up. I was there 5 fucking years for an English degree. And then I got kicked out of school apparently because I couldn't write. It's like, but I'm an English degree. And but he didn't claim, I didn't get kicked out. He didn't tell me I was going to get kicked out. So that's why I didn't do this stupid, because the dude, his name was Joe Lounge. This idiot Joe Lounge was illiterate himself. And he wasn't even a teacher. He was a computer programmer who was friends with somebody at the school, and because he had a master's, he could get hired he even told us this one day in class, somebody wanted to know. So he got hired as like teaching all the different classes. It was like the baby boomers, you hear about baby boomers and they're like, man, I never would have been hired in college today back then. It was like the golden age. They'd hire anybody. And that guy was like, came up in that era. And so he's just out of his mind. We did like it was called Methods of Teaching. And it was just a conversation class. He'd walk in and be like, oh, we're going to talk about this today. And there were like 6 people in the class only, and people would just yap. Tolstoy would be like, okay, and then I do the thing. It was 50 pages. And I wasn't even allowed to give the presentation. And I was the only person who actually had a presentation. This guy did a card trick. And that was his thing. It was a card trick. That was all. That was his 3-week lesson plan. And everybody passed. And then I go up, and I was deliberately chosen very last. And I go up, and I started going for about less than a minute. I had less than a minute, and then the very last day, and then the class ended. And so I wasn't even allowed to give my presentation. I was the only person in the class who wasn't even allowed to give my presentation to anybody. So then the guy goes, hey, I can't grade you because your paper's so stupid and illiterate. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, because this title has to be that title. And it was like totally out of his mind. He reminded me of this other teacher I had, this bitch from Colorado Springs who would drive all the way out to Durango. Like, she lived in Colorado Springs, but he'd drive to Durango because she was married to a teacher in Durango, but they were like estranged or something. And and I was supposed to do this paper out of it was like Southwestern literature. And she's like, you have to do out of the Turabian book. So I do Kate Turabian, right? It's the book that you do to write the bibliography. So I did it to the T, Kate Turabian. And then I turned it in. And then after I turned it in, she goes to the class. She goes, I don't like the Kate Turabian book. You have to do it the way I do it. Like this. And she totally reorganized the order of the bibliography. And I was thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to do that. This bitch is crazy. And this other dude actually dropped out of the class because he was going to kick her out, or she was going to kick him out. And I was talking to him after, and he's like, that fucking bitch, I just dropped out. I just stopped going because she had me at a D-, was going to kick me out just because I argued with her. It was probably about that Turabian thing. And I was like, yeah, man, that bitch is nuts. And when I get my grade back, I got a D in the class because I did it out of the Kate Turabian book, and not because of how she was, because she told us to do it that way after I turned everything in. So that's the kind of idiots you deal with at Fort Loser fucking college. And so Joe Lounge, you want to sue me, motherfucker? I can get crazy, bitch. Don't fuck with me. So Joe Lounge, that piece of shit, he goes, I fixed the goddamn title because it made no sense. I did it out of the book that I was supposed to do. I was all right, dude. You want me to fix a title? This title is okay, whatever. He wanted me to do two things that made no sense, and I was like, I didn't do it. I didn't do either of them. And I was like looking at the paper, and I was like, if I do this, it's going to make no sense, and it only would have taken a couple minutes. But I'm like, this guy's out of his goddamn mind. He's illiterate. And so I was like I was like, okay, whatever, dude. I was like, give me. And so anyway, I came back the next year, and he's like, well, you didn't do it in time because you only have a year to fix it. So I gave you a grade, but it wasn't very good. And I was like, okay. That's literally what he said. He said, I gave you a grade, but it wasn't very good. So then I went to do this. I was supposed to do student teaching to finally graduate after 5 fucking years and 2 summer courses for an English degree. And I went and had the meeting with the lady in like Farmington because I wanted to do it with Native Americans. And then at the last minute, like right before, like the day before I was supposed to do it, this teachers told me that something came up they didn't tell me about. Some secret thing came up and I couldn't do it. And I was like, all right, whatever, place me somewhere else. Oh, we can't place you anywhere else. Too late, can't place you. I was like, well, then place me next semester. Oh, can't do that, can't do it or whatever. So they basically didn't let me. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I went and I traveled for 2 years on the insurance money I got from my dad dying. And came back because I had to. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I took, 2 years. And then I called back. I was like, hey, are you idiots ready to do the student teaching? And they fucking guys called me back and they're like, oh, yeah, you can't do student teaching because you got a D- in the class. And I was like, a D- in the class? They never said anything about D-. He said I got a grade, but it wasn't very good. And that's not even the rules. The rules are you have to have more than a 2.5 GPA. And that's what actually ruined my whole life in college because I was right at it, exactly 2.5. I think they did it on purpose. And so I stopped riding my bike. I was going to try to have a resurgence in the biking, but I had to completely stop. So I could only spend all my time. I was spending all my time doing homework to try to not get D's. And of course I got a bunch of D's. And so this fucking asshole gives me a D, Joe Lounge. He got caught. All those teachers, by the way, they get fired. Dorian Yates retired the next year. Joe Lounge had been a fucking college professor for years because I Googled his ass. He gives nature walks. That's his job. He gives nature walks. Has nothing to do with education. In Durango, and his claim to fame is he used to be a college professor at Fort Lewis. That bitch who gave me the D, she got fired the next year. Like my new advisor, I had 3 advisors at that piece of shit school. He's like, hey, what did you think about her? And I was like, oh, God, she's the worst fucking teacher I ever had in my entire life. And he kind of was like, that's what he heard. But yeah, so they have this huge turnover rate. And I'm sure the standards are a lot higher there now because it's more competitive. But it's the same system, dude. And so, yeah, they don't have to follow the rules at all. School policy is you can choose your major from all the different majors they have to mix. Not in reality, because your advisor has to sign off on that, and they make their own rules. The rule is you have to have above a 2.5 GPA. I barely managed above a 2.5 GPA, but then they switch the rules out. They can make their rules however they want. If you get a D in one of the classes, they don't have to place you if they don't want to. So then I never got placed, so then I never got the student teaching license, then I can't get hired as a teacher. So I went to college for 5 years, 2 summer courses, for absolutely fuck. For no reason whatsoever. I got a job as a furniture mover for $9 an hour, like 20 years ago. And like, I was like treated like shit the whole, like I was like the dumbest dude there. I was like, because the guy didn't like me. He was from New Jersey, this fucking asshole. And I finally quit. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? And it's like, dude, this college education shit just makes people jealous of you. I think he was jealous of me because I was from Boulder and I had a college degree. So he's like, fuck this motherfucker. So now if I try to get a job, my 5 years of licking people's buttholes, spending all my money, is just to make people jealous, and then to think that I'm stupid because I have an English degree. And then I have to tell them, well, why don't you have the student teaching? Oh, I got bad grades. Oh, you figured out. So it's like other people figured out because of people just deciding on their own. You know, the kingmakers. And so that's why 90% on Aristotle politics, $50,000. It's that simple. And you know why it's black and white to grade? Because you can watch the video on YouTube. Everybody watches it. You grade yourself. If you got something wrong, somebody can check you on YouTube, right? And so I think I still have that paper that idiot Joe Lounge gave me a D- on. Or I got a D- on the whole class. See, that's another thing. I got a D-. I got a D on figure drawing. I showed up every single day. And I did all the homework assignments, and I turned in my final paper, but my final like portrait of myself, it wasn't like colored in all the way. And so I got a D for the whole class. Who gets D's for a whole class you show up every day for? Fort Loser College. If you're just like the wrong type person. I kept telling my parents, I'm like, I even wrote my dad like a 5-page letter once. I was like, when I was a sophomore, I was like, I can't do this. And I was giving him all the reasons. I gave him all the examples, everything every student, every teacher told me. I told him everything. And he called me back, or I think maybe he wrote me back. And he's like, that was a very well-written letter. You're so smart. And then he proceeded to tell me all the reasons why I needed to keep going. And he didn't even empathize with me. He didn't agree with me that they were fucking me over, mistreating me, like targeting me, basically planning on kicking me out because I guess they need their numbers of people to kick out or something. None of that. It was like, oh, you just stop complaining and you have to forge through because forging through that's how you finish. And it was like, did you hear me when I said about everything that they said? But then I was calling them all the time. I was like, dude. And then I tell my mom all those stories a couple weeks ago or a month. Why did you never tell me? So you have to get it in writing, I guess. Your letters to your parents, and you get it in writing. Do YouTube videos, you know? You can say, why did I tell you? Here's the fucking YouTube video I did that day. You don't watch my YouTube video? Yeah. So, anyways, I'm gonna destroy that school, even if it's the last thing I do, and even if it drags me down. If I lose my freedom, if I lose my house, if I lose my life, I'm going to destroy that school. So I'm like a super accommodating person, and I'm kind of a bend over for people. But those are the most dangerous types of people, dude. I had a friend like that. He lived with me for 8 years, and he was always like, I was his friend out of pity. I was the only person who'd be his friend, and I'd make friends with him, and he was off mentally, and apparently he was always getting insulted and pissing people off, because he was pissing me off. He was screwing me over for being stupid all the time, but I had tolerance for him. But I was living with him. He's telling me stories of all these people who, every single time he hangs out with somebody, he does something bad, like he breaks their pipe, and then he gets blacklisted from the community. But then he kind of morphed into this angry dude, and like the kind of guy who won't take no shit from nobody. Like, because I think he was traumatized from when he was a kid. He came back from work twice with his face totally like bloody, smashed up, 2 black eyes, bloody nose, scratches all over his face, like a fat lip, blood. And I was like, what the hell happened to you? He's like, oh, but he was like really angry too. Like, not at me, but just like, And he said he was because he crashed his bike. Once because he hit a curb, and once because I can't remember the other reason, but I was like, if you crash your bike, you're not going to get all those different like bruises on your face and stuff. No, it's because he got beat up. He was because he used to brag about he beat people up and like road rage. He was a road rager with his bike, and I used to ride bikes with him, and I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore because he'd like turn right in front of people, like how homeless people sometimes do, like and then they'd honk at him, and he'd be like, fuck you, like ignore him, and then if they yell at him, he'd yell back. But anyway, he started like just screaming at me for no reason. He'd just scream at me all the time, and I would just ignore him because I needed the money, even though I was only charging him $600 a month because he was my friend. And that's including utilities, like $600 across the board, I think. But then he just completely lost it, and like I actually ended up having to kick him out because like one night I asked him if it was okay if like Kristen would visit me, and he started screaming at me, "No, can't!" And I was like, "Okay," and I was going to talk to her about it. But then that made him angry just because I suggested it. And so at 11:45 at night, he was walking around my house slamming doors as hard as he could and cupboards and kicking the wall as hard as he could and the wall against my bedroom. And until I couldn't I had to tell him to stop because I was going to get in trouble. And so I come out and I'm like, dude, can you please be quiet? You're going to get us in trouble. And he goes, I'm going to get you in trouble, bitch. Like as loud as he could. And started screaming at me, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. So, yeah, the next morning I had a meeting with him and my mom, and I told him, and he's like, I'm going to go off on your son right now, to my mom right in front of me, and I was like, Jesus Christ. So he finally left, like a month later. His dad bought him a house. And, but I think he became like that from all the trauma, from getting like trashed as a kid. So, yeah, those types of people are the most dangerous, dude. And I'm kind of like that. I'm one of those people. Like, I will be a total foldover for anybody. Like, across the board. Except for, like, one thing. And that's Fort Lewis College. I mean, you guys gonna fuck with me like that? And I bet you Boulder High, too. NCU. All the schools, man. If you guys are going to do some kind of, like, a money-making game where people have to lick other people's buttholes so that they can decide who passes life, and where you're just sitting in there in chair like, oh, I'm so sorry, I hope they let me, has nothing to do with knowledge. And then you get up on YouTube and people are just trashing each other and nobody's interested in anything. It's because of the schools and there's these idiot teachers. So those fucks want to fuck with me over that. I will go to court and I'll do whatever against the schools. I'm not going to waste my time with anything else because I have a life. I have stuff I'm trying to do. But when it comes to like college and school, yeah. Oh yeah. I'll set it aside if they want to sue me or this, that, or the next thing. When it comes to that, that's what I will fight for. I wouldn't fight for anything else though. I don't have I'm not a drama guy. I don't like drama. So, anyways, that's my rant. That's my rant about. Wow, I don't even know how I got into that. Yeah, manipulative fucking parents, dude. Manipulative fucking parents. If you can get, it's almost like I got brainwashed. If you can get brainwashed by your parents, like where your parents can tell you to not do this and then do this and then, oh, because there's no money in that, and you have both of your parents doing that, like, you'll go out in the world like with spiral eyes, just like, so sorry. Because nobody has your back. Nobody taught you how to. I mean, this fucking bitch, Dorian Yates, like, she goes, students only want to take the easy classes. You can't choose your majors. Students here only want to take the easy classes. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck? What? I should have been like, fuck you, bitch. You senile old piece of shit. That's not your job to insult people. But, you know, but if I had have done that, what if I would have told my parents I said that? Imagine the grief I would have gotten from my parents. They would have blamed me for everything after that. So, anyways, that's the problem. I'm so glad my idiot father died. Like, there are people who hate their parents. My father was really nice to me. He was kind of a grumpy dude, but and he'd get angry and stay angry and all that, whatever. But he had the love, and so I don't have stories of him like doing horrible things, you know, like what some people have stories of, like getting tied up and beaten up by their parents. He did attack me once. I tripped my brother just for fun when we were in Boston in some bed and breakfast, going to Chogyam Trungpa's funeral, and my dad fucking flipped out on me, jumped up to me, started punching me and kicking me as hard as he could. I was like, dude, are you drunk or something? It was when he was still drinking, so he could have been. But, yeah, so, you need to watch out for your parents, dude. They have a lot of power over you, and they can make or break you. Watch out for your parents. Talk to you tomorrow.